Well, meanwhile, the European Union says it won't condemn the police violence in Spain and instead gave its backing to the Spanish Prime Minister to resolve the crisis. Well, Spanish authorities continue to say they see the vote as illegal and unconstitutional. Well, meanwhile, the mayor of Barcelona says she's received reports from several women who say they were sexually assaulted by police on the day of the referendum.
Thousands of citizens in Barcelona have found themselves in the unfortunate position of having their rights and liberties under threat. Many have been victims of violence, not just physical, but also sexual. We've received several reports from women who say they were sexually assaulted.
Well, Sunday's referendum led to violent scuffles between riot police and voters. Almost 900 people were injured by the authorities who were trying to stop people from casting their ballots. Well, for more on this, I'm now joined by Carles Prats, a Catalan MP. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Carles. Well, the Catalan government promises to proclaim independence by next Monday. Well, what will happen, do you think, if Madrid doesn't accept the referendum result?
Well, and yes, good afternoon from Barcelona. Well, eventually now we are in the moment where we are in the following hours we are going to know the official results of the referendum. So in the coming hours and the coming days, the Parliament will meet in order to make the declaration of independence, and from that on, we know that the Spanish government is not recognizing the results. Even they are not recognizing that on Sunday we could officially organize and receive more than 3 million people voting in the different points prepared for that purpose. And we know it's not going to be easy, and they are trying to keep using force in order to make us stop.
Well, in the meantime, Carles, the EU Parliament is holding a meeting on the Catalan crisis. I mean, most of the MPs are calling on Catalonia to open dialogue with Madrid. I mean, do you think, though, that will happen?
Well, the Catalan government is really insisting in this objective. That for us is very important that our international community recognize what is happening here in Catalonia, and also we are making calls in order to receive some international support in the process of negotiating with the Spanish government. So we hope we will the meeting in this that is taking place at the moment in the European Parliament, it will help to internationalize the conflict and to make to receive some international support in order to make the Spanish government sit on the table and negotiate what we can do together from now to the future.
And very briefly, Carles, if I can just ask you, both pro and anti-independence movements, they're calling for the mass protests on Sunday. I mean, there is a risk of violence, or is there? I mean, do you expect the Spanish police to be as brutal as they were during Sunday's referendum vote?
We hope that the violence we saw on Sunday was we hope they are not going to repeat it, because yesterday in Barcelona and the main cities in Catalonia we saw how society was really against this use of the force from the Spanish police. And more than 1 million people here in Barcelona were protesting against this attitude, and also in the main cities in Girona and Tarragona and South Catalonia also against. So we hope that the Spanish government is not going to go forward with the use of the force.
Indeed. We'll leave it there. Carles Prats, Catalan MP, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, the crisis has even crossed into football in Spain as national teams prepare for their final qualifying matches to reach the 2018 World Cup here in Russia. Barcelona defender Gerard Piqué, an outspoken backer of Catalan independence, was booed as he trained with the Spanish squad. Well, Piqué is from Catalonia and has had a glittering career for both his club and the Spanish national team, for whom he's won the World and European Cups. However, Piqué has said he is willing to retire from international football over his staunch backing of Catalan independence. Well, Barcelona Football Club is a focal point of Catalan nationalism. Supporters can be heard chanting independence slogans during matches after 17 minutes and 14 seconds, 1714 being the year Catalonia became a part of Spain. Well, the club also took part in the recent strike against the government, and after last Sunday's game was played behind closed doors due to fears of crowd safety, Piqué got emotional talking about independence during a TV interview.
Soy y me siento catalán, y esto es algo que hoy más que nunca me siento orgulloso de la gente de Cataluña, porque creo que se ha comportado maravillosamente como estos últimos 7 años en los cuales no ha habido ningún acto de agresión. Si el míster o cualquier persona de la Junta de la Federación, cree que soy un problema o que molesto, no tengo ningún problema en dar un paso al lado.
Now, the UK Independence Party has elected a new leader. Henry Bolton becomes the 5th head of the group in just over a year. Well, 54-year-old Bolton is a former British Army officer. He used to be in the Liberal Democrat Party, and he was awarded the Order of the British Empire, the OBE, for his services to international security. And Henry Bolton joins us now. Well, hello there, Henry. Congratulations on your new position. I mean, well, let's start then with your key party policy, which is UK independence. Well, the Brexit Secretary, David Davis, has issued a strong warning to the EU that Britain says there'll be no deal if there's no breakthrough in talks. What do you think of that?
I think that's absolutely right. My fear is that it's well and good saying that, but the British government must plan and prepare to leave. We must be prepared to leave, and we must be prepared immediately to leave, if necessary, if there is no deal. And that, without that preparation, there's no real credibility behind such a statement.
Well, let's look at some other independence issues. I mean, particularly the one we've been talking about, which is Spain. The European Parliament is holding a meeting on the Catalan crisis, but the main focus so far has been on the legality, I should say, of the referendum, not on the brutal crackdown on the voters. I mean, how can you explain that?
Well, I mean, you know, it's not in the interest of the European Union or the Spanish state to allow the debate to focus on anything else apart from the constitutional and legal issues. However, I would say that if the Spanish authorities are keen on dealing with this issue and making sure that Catalonia doesn't break away, then the police have to act appropriately. Some of the scenes that we saw on the television and some of the scenes coming across on social media were quite horrific in showing the manner in which some of the Spanish police were treating innocent and peaceful people queuing up to vote. I don't think that helps anybody at this stage. They need to be discussing a mutually agreeable way forward now. But that may be difficult given the violence that we've seen.
I mean, do you think then Madrid's gone too far? I mean, is it past the point of no return now in terms of negotiations? I mean, do you think that the heavy-handed police response was the only way that they could deal with the referendum, or do you think there was another way that they could have handled it?
I really don't think that was helpful. The referendum was held anyway. There was a result in any case. The actions of the police simply served to alienate the Madrid authorities from the people in Catalonia who want to move away and establish independence. So, you know, for me, it was handled inappropriately. Of course, it's a matter of the Spanish authorities, but that's my opinion. I'm a former police officer, and what I saw, you know, just made me reel, because I just thought, you know, this is not the way to police such an incident. Professionally, it's not.
Well, let's turn back now to the UK. I mean, it's been revealed that the UK has the biggest audience in Europe for jihadist online propaganda. I mean, how do you plan, how does your party plan to tackle the terror threat, given that the level is now at severe?
Well, we've been, the terror threat generally, that's a massive question. I mean, you know, this country needs to tighten up on its border security. It needs to better control its perimeter, if you like, without which, if your external security is, or the security around your borders is compromised, then, of course, your internal security is compromised as well. And then internally, we've had cuts to policing of some 25%. The first policing functions, if you like, that have suffered from that are the ones that the public don't see. Backroom offices or functions almost, such as intelligence analysis, which are critical capabilities that are being undermined by these continued cuts. And then I think you mentioned the jihadist propaganda online. Well, indeed, that's a significant problem, and I believe that it should be equally as it is an offence to watch and download child exploitation videos and so on. Equally, it should be an offence to download and view jihadist material.
Let's also now then, Henry, have a look at some of the wider issues, international issues that are current at the moment. I mean, what are your plans, what are your party's plans for dealing with the North Korean crisis? I mean, would you support the US actions all the way?
No, not unconditionally, no, not at all. I mean, you know, obviously, at the moment we're not in government and we're not involved in any dialogue on the matter between the UK and the American authorities, or any other authorities for that matter. However, there's a worrying trend here. I mean, obviously, we're all worried about North Korea. If the UK can contribute in any way to solving that, then I believe we should. Now, the last resort is, of course, military force. The UK does not have the military weight or clout or the ability to deploy large forces into that region, and indeed anything that we would be doing would be, I would imagine, in a coalition effort in support of the Americans. But that would, we'd need to have a say in what that was before I would be happy in committing British military assets to such an operation, if it were to go military, which I hope very much it doesn't.
Well, let's also now look closer to home. Let's look at Europe. I mean, what are your thoughts in the wake of the German elections? I mean, do you think that the rise of the right-wing Alternative for Germany party is going to affect the integrity, the staying together of the EU?
You know, the European Union, it's a little bit... I noticed that the European Union have not in any way condemned the violence in Catalonia. I mean, the European Union is a centralising authority that actually is slowly sapping local autonomy and an identity from all of the member states. And I think that's why you see the rise of parties that are keen to limit the powers of Brussels, if not leave the European Union altogether, like ours. The success of the AfD, I think, is a very strong signal to Brussels that they need to reform. But unfortunately, all we see from Brussels, in response to the UK referendum on independence, or indeed the election of the election of AfD members of Parliament, is ever increasing effort to centralise and assert more centralised control, which is exactly why we want to break away. So I think the European Union is going in entirely the wrong direction if it wants to remain a solid, unified bloc.
Indeed, and we shall leave it there. New UKIP leader Henry Bolton, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, the leader of the Al-Nusra terror group has been gravely injured in a Russian airstrike in Syria. More on that story after this short break.